For decades, people were vanishing along Burundi's Ruzizi River and nobody could save them. Fishermen disappeared at dawn. Women collecting water would scream, then go silent. For years, the stories seemed too wild until witnesses began speaking of a massive, bloodthirsty crocodile attacking humans, hunted like a serial killer. They call him Gustave, a massive 20 feet long, weighing over a ton, and having killed 300 people since 1987. Soldiers shot him repeatedly, but he ate the bullets. He'd slap his tail on canoes to flip people into the water. When he migrated away, the attacks stopped. When he returned, they started again. One single crocodile was blamed for every death in the Ruzizi River. Then, in 2004, a team of crocodile experts arrived with massive steel cages to capture him. They failed, but what they discovered changed everything. The report started in 1987 along the Ruzizi River and Lake Tanganyika in Burundi. A massive Nile crocodile was killing people at an alarming rate. But this wasn't just described as a large crocodile. The local communities gave him supernatural abilities. He wouldn't just ambush victims from the water. Witnesses claimed he'd use his tail to deliberately splash water onto canoes, capsizing them to make the people easy prey. And you know the worst part? He didn't kill because he was hungry. Victims were found drowned, untouched, left to rot underwater. He was asserting dominance, showing the river belongs to him, not the humans who lived beside it. In 1998, a French naturalist named Patrice Faye was called to Burundi as a hunter. His job, kill the crocodile. But when Faye finally saw Gustave, something changed. He later described the moment.
I saw this magnificent prehistoric creature, the last of the really big crocodiles.
Instead of shooting, Faye put down his rifle. He decided the animal was too magnificent to kill. He would study him instead. For 2 years, Faye tracked Gustave, mapping his territory. He discovered the crocodile traveled up to 20 miles up the Ruzizi River into a roadless national park, mostly for mating. But these migrations brought him into constant contact with human communities. And that's when Faye made his most terrifying claim. If Gustave had been killing at this rate for 20 years, he would have already eaten more than 300 people. That number, 300 deaths, exploded into international headlines. But how much of this is animal behavior and how much is human myth? To find the truth, we have to look at the teeth. Mass increases cubically with length. If a standard 15-foot crocodile weighs 900 pounds, a 20-foot specimen like Gustave would have a mass calculated as mass length that equals over 2,100 pounds of prehistoric armor. The thick bony plates on a crocodile's back, called osteoderms, act like natural chainmail to a terrified soldier firing in the dark. A bullet ricocheting off those plates could easily look like the monster was eating the ammunition. In 2004, the legend went global. A team of world-renowned crocodile experts arrived in Burundi with a massive 2,000-pound steel cage. Their goal was simple: capture the monster alive and move him to a sanctuary before he could kill again. But Gustave was not a typical predator. He didn't just avoid the traps, he seemed to mock them. Gustave was a real threat, but he had become a magnet for a community's accumulated grief. The failed capture attempt in 2004 only added to the myth of Gustave's intelligence. A live goat was placed in a 30-foot cage in 2004. The camera failed during a storm. The next morning, the cage was empty and the goat was gone. Faye concluded that Gustave was simply too clever to be caught. The documentary team had estimated Gustave's age at 100 years old based on his size. However, biological reality stepped in. If a crocodile were truly a century old, its teeth would be worn down to nubs from a lifetime of crushing bone and shell. Gustave, however, was always seen with a mouth full of sharp, healthy teeth. Experts now believe he was closer to 60 years old, a powerful, prime-age male, but not an ancient dinosaur. So why would a crocodile become a sustained man-eater in the first place? Patrice Faye's theory was darker than simple biology. He believed Gustave developed a taste for human flesh during Burundi's civil wars in the 1990s. During the conflict, hundreds of thousands were killed, and the Ruzizi River often became a disposal site for bodies. Crocodiles are opportunists. If a massive animal like Gustave realized that humans were an easy, high-calorie meal that didn't fight back like a Cape buffalo, he would naturally incorporate them into his hunting strategy. It wasn't a dark preference, it was learned efficiency. But as the myth grew, the man behind the camera was hiding a darkness of his own. This is the part the documentaries won't tell you. For years, Patrice Faye was a hero in Burundi. He was a playwright, a teacher, and a naturalist who founded schools for the poor. He was even voted the third most popular personality in the country. But in April 2011, the humanist adventurer was arrested in Bujumbura. The charges were sickening. He was accused of raping 5 young girls, some of them minors, who were students at the very school he had established for disadvantaged youth. Faye denied the charges, claiming it was a political machination, but the evidence was overwhelming. In July 2011, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. The man who had spent his life warning the world about the monster in the river was now being branded a monster himself by the community he claimed to protect. He spent 6 months in the notorious Mpimba Central Prison before being granted a medical release and repatriated to France in October 2011. The last reports placed him living in Togo in 2020. The hero of the Gustave story had fallen as far as a man can fall. Gustave's true legacy. Where is Gustave today? The reports are a mess of contradiction. Sightings in 2009, rumors in 2015. A magazine claimed in 2019 that he was finally killed, but there is nobody, no photo, no proof. The truth about Gustave is that he may have died years ago of old age or been killed quietly by a poacher. But the attacks in the Ruzizi River haven't stopped. They continue every single year. This is the ultimate lesson of the Gustave legend. Humans have a psychological need for a monster. If we can blame one giant crocodile for every disappearance, the danger becomes manageable. We can hunt one crocodile. We can avoid one specific bank. But if the danger is actually dozens of aggressive crocodiles spread across hundreds of miles of war-torn territory, the fear becomes unbearable. The river itself becomes the monster. Gustave provided a name for that fear. He became a container for the trauma of a region that had already seen too much death. Whether he was 20 feet long or 17, whether he killed 300 or 60, Gustave's real legacy isn't his size. It's the way he allowed a community to process the unfaceable. We create legends because the truth is often much scarier. That the world is a dangerous place, that predators are everywhere, and that sometimes there is no one left to save us. The monster didn't create the danger. He just gave it a name. And even if Gustave is gone, the river is still waiting. In the end, Gustave remains a ghost, a prehistoric titan lurking in the borderlands between fact and folklore. He is a reminder that even in the 21st century, there are still places where the water hides things we cannot explain, and where the line between the man and the beast is thinner than we'd like to believe.